And when did you first get involved in Valleys Kids, Han, and how did that come about?
So I got involved with Valleys Kids when I was about 15. I want to say 15, 15, we'll go 15, 16. And it came about because I had a big interest in drama, and I was looking for some sort of like club or activity to join, and my mum taught Connor Morgan, and Connor did some work around Valleys Kids and the work he was doing with Sparc Artworks at the time, and my mum thought that might be a good group for me to join, so she randomly one Tuesday just brought me to the group.
And that was the youth theatre.
And that was the youth theatre, in Pen y Graig, and I came to my first session there, and I was an incredibly shy child, so I came with a friend, and then I just didn't stop coming there. And now I'm nearly 30, so you know.
Brilliant. Yeah, no, that's brilliant. And then if you could just talk a little bit for us, Han, about what else you did with Valleys Kids, so kind of like your journey through the project then, if you like, if there was ways in terms of your volunteering and that kind of thing.
Yeah, so I started with Sparc, and I was involved in the sort of drama provisions there, but actually really quickly into my time we did the Mzansi Cymru project, which was obviously involving the larger Valleys Kids family, and yeah, I think that was about, I want to say about 8 months after I started with Valleys Kids. Yeah, we did the massive, National Olympiad kind of project in the Wales Millennium Centre, and then went to like Africa. It was a bit of a wild ride, but that's sort of the beginning of my journey was, in terms of meeting the other areas of Valleys Kids, and it not just being to drama with artworks. And then I continued my work with artworks, and so from that point as well, then I was doing like volunteering in the summer with the shows, and then I did lots of different projects, like the Ideas People's Places project, covering rocks in foil up in the feeder, and learning about sort of different artists and developing my skills actually to challenge things and thinking about things in a wider sense. And then I went to university, and then when I came back from university after 3 years, I came back to volunteer with Sparc, as it was then, I think, when I came. Well, no, I think it was in the transition between Artworks and Sparc, and did some more volunteering, and then was lucky enough to be made a Sparc Associate, so then was working as a freelancer for Sparc, and then that work really led into meeting more of the Valleys Kids sort of team, and looking at all of the different areas, like working with the family team on neurodiverse events, as a neurodiverse artist, and also then working on a big project called Make It, the Valleys Kids hosted, which is probably one of my biggest involvements in terms of working with Valleys Kids as an entire charity. And that project was developed by 4 early career artists who had come through the Sparc Youth Theatre and had noticed a gap in the market for early career artists. There wasn't many opportunities, so how do we develop a programme of work that can sort of lend itself to that? And we went in for a big Connect and Flourish grant with the support of Sparc and Miranda and Valleys Kids, and got the grant, and then ran the programme of work from mostly the Pop Factory, but also Pen y Graig, and that for me then was a really good way, because I was working 1-2 days a week in the buildings to get get to know all of the different bits of work the Valleys kids do. So yeah, I think that's a very whistle-stop tour of 15 years, I think. But
it's a lot, isn't it?
Yeah.
And then did you recently go on a conference that was Sparc supported?
So I recently went on an international conference. So my international work with Sparc has been, well, actually, I'm going to say that all of my international work has come through an avenue of my work with Sparc. So the first sort of international work I did was when we went to South Africa when I was 17, and did and learnt even what an international sort of exchange is, and how you learn from that. And then I did the Mind the Gap project directly with Sparc, and that was sort of combined with Make It and also Sparc and Valleys Kids, and we went to Germany, and then 4 German artists came to the Valleys, and we shared methodology of pedagogy with each other. That was the project, to look at how the University of Lubeck and the musicians they have there work with children and young people in schools, and how they teach through music, and then how us as artists work with young people through drama, and how those settings are very different because we work in community centres, but they work in schools in an affluent area of Germany. So the comparisons of that, and that was a really interesting project as well. And then I started going to IETM, the IETM conferences all across Europe. I've been to 3 of those, but the first one was directly linked to Sparc, because Catherine, who runs Dirty Protest, who has a close relationship with Sparc, contacted Miranda and asked if there was anyone of part of the sort of Sparc Associate team that would be a good fit to go to Denmark. So that opportunity directly came through Miranda, and that for me then internationally has opened up, an absolute world of opportunity. And since then I've been to Bulgaria, I've been to Denmark, I've been to France. I've worked with the Amazon rainforest. So that was directly through my work with Sparc, because otherwise that opportunity wouldn't come. And then this year, the IETM conference was in Berlin, and I really wanted to go. And so I felt comfortable enough to approach Sparc and say, is there an opportunity for me to be supported by the team to go? And I was given, I suppose, a pot of money from Sparc to be able to go to the conference as a representative of Sparc, but also to represent myself as a freelance artist, and make those connections. And I think that one of the biggest things with the IETM conference that I like is that the whole ethos is that it's not like a marketplace, it's not to trade work, and it's to develop relationships. So they really look at the longer term sort of outcome of what you can achieve. I think that's really key, because I think that's part of Sparc's methodology, is actually how do you work long term, instead of thinking about, we'll do big project, all sparkles, and then that's it. And actually, how do you work long term with people to develop them, and see that, and I'm a direct sort of outcome of that process, because it's 15 years later and I'm still just in the office talking about my work, and always feel like I can come back and be part of what's going on here.
Absolutely. So why is Valleys Kids important to you?
It's incredibly important to me. It's more important to me now, I think, than, I don't know, it's hard to say that, but I feel like it's more important to me now than it was when I was younger. But as a young person, I mentioned earlier that I was incredibly shy. I really struggled to make friends. I really struggled to feel part of something. which obviously is quite detrimental to your sort of well-being when you're a young person. And I think one of the things that was so, for me, important when I joined was not only is the arts provision, you know, the highest quality that you can get as a young person in the Valleys, that is secondary to sort of the way that you're looked after and the way that you're made to feel and the way that, you know, how comfortable I felt. I think like I tried lots of different things when I was younger to try and feel like I could fit in somewhere, and I just naturally felt like I was absolutely welcomed in with open arms, and that is because everyone who comes through the door feels like that. And I genuinely think you could pick out any young person that Valleys Kids have worked with and they would say that they just feel like it's home. So that for me is more important than the incredible arts opportunities that I've had throughout the years as well, because even though I'm saying the art, you know, the arts and the creative work is secondary, that doesn't compromise on the quality and the absolute like expertise that I've been exposed to. And as someone who really does struggle, like in everyday sort of life to do things because of different sort of conditions I'm sort of battling every day, it's always somewhere where I can come back to. You know, even now I'm nearly 30. I needed to ring Miranda the other day and have a you know, meet her for a coffee and just say this is all going on in my life and it's really stressful, and I felt like 3 million times better, and I was able to share that with someone, and that's why that's important. And then I can talk about, you know, the commissions that I've had, the money that's been given to me to come, you know, alongside projects that have you know, propelled my career like 100 times. If it wasn't for Powerful Interventions, I wouldn't be doing a co-production with the Sherman. If it wasn't for the support that I had last year to do Full House, then I wouldn't be doing the co-production I'm doing now. I'm going to Edinburgh next week. That's directly linked to my relationship with Dirty Protest that has directly come through the work I've done with Sparc. Like my career is absolutely owed to this organisation. And I would advocate that to anyone. And I think that, but the most important thing is every step of the way I've always felt supported and comfortable to be able to do that. Which, as I'm growing up and working with different people, that isn't the case in lots of different areas. And it doesn't, and I feel like it's a really good representation of you don't have to compromise on the artistic output for the well-being of people. I think it's incredibly important to me. I can't emphasize that anymore.
I think you did a really good job of that, huh? Thank you so much. It's really lovely to hear you speaking like that. So the next question, I think you've kind of explained to Hannah in terms of what has Valleys Kids done to support and help you. I think you've articulated that beautifully. So just could you talk a little bit about what have you done for Valleys Kids, would you say?
So what I've done for Valleys Kids, I think one of the biggest things I do is continuously bringing the work back. I think that it's really, because of the support and the level of respect I have for the organisation, anything I sort of do, I always want to make sure that Valleys Kids are credited, and maybe not like directly, but actually that it's really important that I bring that back. So if I'm doing like very simple things, like I'm doing a production in February and I'm going to make sure there's space for those young people or people I've been working with to come and watch that production in a way that's accessible and free, and you know, and they can enjoy it, and making sure that, you know, if the team need things and they're really, really stretched, that I can try and make myself available to help in some sort of way. But I think the most important thing is just keeping, and it's important for my work as well, to keep underpinning that sort of opening it up so then the next generation have an opportunity to experience new things, because if I didn't have that when I was sort of 15, I wouldn't be where I'm at. So like, how do we keep supporting the next generation to come through, and just keep doing that and just keep advocating really for the organisation, because it's incredibly important. And if it doesn't exist, then that's not just detrimental to like me, but it's also detrimental to an entire valley of people. Just keeping advocating for the organisation, I think.
Thanks, Anne. And why do you think Valleys Kids is important to the communities where we work, in a broader sense?
So in a broader sense, like incredibly simply, just on my walk from the car to the office today, you've got, staff members setting up a water fight. It's a beautiful day, it's like 28 degrees today, and it's the middle of the summer holidays, and children who traditionally are not going to have anywhere to go today to enjoy the sunshine can come to the garden and they're going to have so much fun. I'm half debating not walking back through there because I've got a meeting after this. I don't want to be soaking wet, but they're going to have so much fun, and as a child, that is just fundamental, isn't it? You should just be having fun, especially in the summer holidays when it's, a lovely sunny day. And if that opportunity wasn't there, where they're setting up, a water slide and, water balloons and whatever else they're setting up, hose pipes, they don't get to experience that at all. Like, that's not me being dramatic, that's like the reality of the situation for a lot of young people in this area, that they don't get to experience fun unless these buildings exist and the staff with their expertise exist to be able to provide those opportunities. And I just think that for just children is so important. But then you've got the cafe then who, they've got the knit and natter, so every, I think it's Wednesday, you come in and you've got however many ladies sitting around knitting and nattering, and they need that. They need that in their lives. If they don't have that, then some of them don't talk to anyone all week, so all of these things and all of these groups are so important, and I'll talk about the Flight Wings as well. Like, we were running the Flight Wings group, how essential that group is to those adults is, I can't, it's the only bit of contact they have with other people who are not in their households throughout the week, and that's just unbelievably important. And and I think everyone loves working with our group, but that's because they light up the room and they're there because it's so important for them that they're there. So it's a vice versa, like, yeah, they're a brilliant group, but that's because they know how important it is to them to be there. And that's not just in, like, it's not just Pengraig or Porth, that's in Penranglen as well, and I was in Red Felin and it was in Dinas as well. So those things are not just like heartbreaking, it's just so detrimental. It's just, I can't emphasise how important it is really to the wider community.
That's lovely, thank you so much, Anne.